Hello again, it's Triad Enmity, and I'm back at you with some more Diablo 3 Reaper of Souls content. In today's video, we'll be going over the Marauder build that's absolutely dominating the Demon Hunter leaderboards, as well as gearing, stats, cube passives, skills, talents, pretty much everything you need to know to do this build and play it efficiently. We'll also go over some gameplay as well. I do have a commentary, Greater Rift 76 clear coming out in a few days, so watch out for that as well. I'll just be going over why I'm doing the things I'm doing in the Greater Rift and how I've prepared and all of the jazz you want to know to do the higher Greater Rifts yourself. All right, guys, let's get started. Okay, guys, so let's get started with the build itself. Let's quickly talk about what the build does, what it's good at, and what it's bad at. What it's good at is pushing Greater Rifts. Absolutely fantastic, clear. Damage is just insane. Control is awesome. Survivability is very good as a result of all of your pets. Things it's bad at, it's not super fast at clearing normal rifts. It is good, you'll absolutely shred through a T10 rift, but there's more efficient builds like Yui, and possibly even Shadows, depending on your gear and things like that. But this is absolutely fantastic for clearing greater rifts. We can look at the leaderboards. Everyone is mainly pushing with this. As you can see, like the top guy, more or less the same build. He's got a few tweaks in his gear and things like that. But yeah, the leaderboard's pretty much dominated with this build itself. We managed to rank 8 with it, by the way, this morning, which is pretty solid. That video will come out in a few days. I'm going to put that out, so I'll do some commentary and stuff over that. Anyways, let's go over the actual build itself. Now, the build itself revolves around the new Marauder set. They've upgraded the set quite significantly. Your primary skills are increased by more damage when you have your sentries out. So the sentries increase your damage even more. And on top of that, there's a few new items like Bombardier's Rucksack. It's not new, but it's upgraded, so there's sentry damage on it now, which is ridiculous. And Manticore, which is also ridiculous. It has Cluster Arrow damage and then reduces Cluster Arrow cost as well. And on top of that, we have our new cube passive, which is Dawn, which reduces the cooldown of Vengeance by 65%, allowing us to have 100% uptime on this. We'll go over the gear and the stats afterwards, though. So let's get into the build. Pretty straightforward build, not much room for change because everything is kind of necessary. Fire with Focus, this is your main ability. You want to keep, the only reason we really need this is to keep up our Restraint and Focus. If you didn't use Restraint and Focus, you wouldn't actually need a generator because you don't really have that many issues with Hatred. I've seen people running without a generator and using the Compass Rose or whatever with the, is it the Compass Rose set? Anyways, it's the one with the where you stand still, you do 100% extra damage. And then they'll slap on like a Stone of Jordan as well. But yeah, this is this build. We're using Evasive Fire. So you can use Focus as your main rune. For a while, I actually used Hardened. Instead of backflipping, you get 25% armor for 3 seconds. Use this if you're having a problem dodging damage, avoiding damage, surviving, things like that. Because that 25% armor is up the majority of the time because you're also keeping your Wraps of Clarity up as well. So that's just a bonus survival thing. But I keep Evasive Fire with Focus just for that extra bit of hatred in case I do starve myself. Now, Cluster Arrow with Maelstrom. This is crucial. Frost is seemingly the best build at the moment. Shooting Stars I used in the initial part of the season, but I realized very quickly by just looking at other players, Maelstrom was the way to go. And it definitely does perform. Damage-wise is absolutely insane. Vengeance with Seethe. This is crucial. Keeps your hatred just capped all the time. This is up pretty much 100% of the time. Well, it should be at least, if you're spamming your button. It gives you extra damage, 40%, and 10% or 10 hatred every second, and it's up all the time. It's just ridiculous. Vault with Tumble, pretty crucial. You need this to survive pretty much every mechanic in the game in the higher greater rifts. And we're going to run with Tumble for the reduced cost on your next vault, which is also crucial for survival because you can starve yourself out of discipline quite quickly if you're not careful. Sentry. Sentries are the bread and butter of your build. You're putting these around very strategically, and you'll see my gameplay video. There's some gameplay in this video as well, but you'll see me doing it. You use this very, very strategically with Polar Station to keep everything slowed all of the time to keep up your Bane of the Trapped and your Call of the Week, or whatever it's called. Call of the Week. That's very, very crucial. So you can't really change out Polar Station for anything else because you need that very crucial slow. It's ridiculous. And Companion, you don't actually need to rune this because your 2 set gives you everything all of those all at once. So whenever you activate Companion, you get 30% damage. You slow everything. You gain hatred. You taunt stuff. And does he taunt stuff? Yeah. And you also pick up all the health globes, which actually saves your life sometimes if you time it correctly, picking up health globes with that. Picks them up from 60 yards. So that's the main abilities. Passives, again, pretty cookie cutter. Ambush, 40% damage over 75% health. This makes your burst damage insane when you initiate like an elite pack or whatever. Call of the week, 20% straight damage, essentially, probably up 85% of the time to 100, depending on the pack you're fighting. Ballistics increases damage of your rockets, which are shooting out of your maelstrom. So yeah, you can't really go wrong with that. And it also has a 20% chance to fire a homing rocket, which does extra damage. So that's kind of nice as well. Custom engineering, absolutely crucial. Makes it so you can have more sentries up, makes your sentries last for longer. More sentries up increases your damage by, is it 300% per? Yeah, so sentries deal, 600% per. So yeah, you can't really go wrong with that. So yeah, those are the main abilities. Now, lots of people have been asking me, just whispering me and things, asking me like about progression. They're asking why I'm not using awareness. This build is pretty tanky, and you can avoid most damage coming in. If you're having a bad day, you're gonna die a lot still. But generally, yeah, it's not necessary at all. If you're struggling with survivability, I'd recommend using this as a until you get better at surviving kind of thing. Maybe you just don't get as frustrated dying constantly. But when you become a bit more advanced with dodging and avoiding damage, it's you don't need it. I mean, you're gonna die. There's no doubt about it, but it's not necessary. And I find these outweigh, like steady aim, things like that. And then my neck passive is archery. So, if you get a neck passive of anything else, just rotate those 5 talents. Not sharpshooter, sorry. Steady aim is probably very, very close to archery, but the fact that archery's up 100% of the time makes it a lot more valuable, because there's often times when you're not actually 20 yards away or 10 yards away kind of thing. So, yeah, I'd recommend archery in your Hellfire Amulet passive as well. Now, this is the Greater Rift build. If you want to play this for normal Rifts, all you literally do is swap out everything but custom engineering for what I do is Blood Vengeance, Tactical Awareness, and then finally Hot Pursuit. So those allow you to have insane mobility. The Blood Vengeance keeps your discipline capped, and then your custom engineering increases your damage based on your sentries over and over. So this is like a really fast, probably one of the faster T10 builds for this actual, sentry build. There is the belt now that increases your reduces the cost of vault by 100% when you cast Impale. So you can cast Impale as your main generator and then indefinitely vault and actually just skip out those talents. But I find it kind of a pain in the ass to play, to be honest with you. It's a bit finicky, and I just prefer this one. It's a bit more consistent for me if you're doing speed runs or whatever. So yeah, there's that. Also, if you're playing group, I pretty much play identical to what we were playing before, which is this. If I'm playing groups, I normally play that. If it's a really high group, like if we're doing like 75 or 77, I'll swap out Vault for Marked for Death with Contagion? Yeah, whatever, however you pronounce that. You lose survivability off Vault, but you do gain insane damage. So if you're good enough to avoid the damage in those higher Greater Rifts with a group, you can definitely do that. If you're dying a lot, don't, because you're going to die even more, and it's going to slow the group down. But that's what I've been doing, and it works out pretty well if I'm playing this in a higher Greater Rift group. Yeah, guys, that's the build. Let's go on to gearing now and see what's going on with that. Okay, guys, so moving on to the items needed for the build. All pretty cookie cutter, necessary items. We got Manticore, Bombardier's Rucksack, Focus, and Restraint, Wraps of Clarity, Hellfire Amulet, and Zoe's Secret, along with the Marauder's 6 set, of course. So, Manticore, we'll go over like ideal stats. Manticore, ideally, I'd want as high possible damage roll as possible. High dexterity. I drop my vitality for either cooldown reduction or percent damage, and I drop my all resource cost reduction for attack speed or cooldown reduction. So those are the stats you mainly want. You want to aim for as high as possible for hatred cost reduction and cluster arrow damage. Then you want to gift your I was gonna say your secret. I played too much Hearthstone. You want to gift your socket on as well. Bombardier's Rucksack ideal stats are Dexterity, Attack Speed, Crit, Vitality, depending on if you have issues surviving or you just generally want to survive hits more often. I swapped out the Vitality for damage against elites, which I'm actually quite enjoying. And cooldown reduction and high sentry damage. Those are the stats you want, and for secondary, hopefully something a bit more defensive than gold from monsters. This is a bad Bombardiers, but it's doing the job. Wraps of Clarity, cold damage, high crit chance, good secondary all resist, vitality, and dexterity with high hatred if you can. Mine is perfect, which I was pretty lucky with. And then what are we looking at? Zoe's Secret, defensive stats, vitality, all resist, life, or armor, whatever you prefer. I'd probably say armor is a bit better than life, but I like my life for some reason. I'm a bit like that. And then this is the big one. You take 8 to 9% less damage depending on how many companions you have. So you have like 5 or 6 up, at a time, if not more, depending on your build and things like that. But yeah, that is like huge for survivability. If I took this off, I'd probably go down like 20 mil. Yeah, 29. So that's 12 million toughness alone, that belt. Focus Restraint, you want critical hit chance, dexterity, and crit damage. I'm using this one temporarily because I reshuffled my gear. So I put cooldown reduction on because I was trying out my shoulders without cooldown reduction. But yeah, same thing. Crit chance, crit damage, dexterity, and then socket. There are certain situations with ancient ones where the normal roll on the damage will actually outweigh the dexterity. So keep that in mind. Like if you get really, really high roll on damage, like 200 plus, that could actually be more beneficial than the dexterity itself. So sometimes it's more beneficial to re-roll the dexterity off, depending on if it's ancients and how much damage it's rolled. Hellfire Amulet. Archery is awesome. Really, really good, just permanent damage. I think this accounts for like 30% of my damage in total. Yeah, look at that, more. Or no, that's about right. Yeah, 1 million to 1.6. That's just the neck alone kind of thing. So that's like a ridiculous upgrade when you get hold of one of those. What haven't we looked at? So Helm, dexterity, crit chance, cluster air damage. Easy peasy. Resist is good. If you can do it, physical cold are really good because they're unavoidable for certain things like reflect, and you always get hit by a few ticks of the frozen orb. Not frozen orb, the frost ground one. Now, the shoulders, ideally, you actually want dexterity, all resource cost reduction, and cooldown reduction. You want to drop the vitality. So, dexterity, resource cost, cooldown reduction, and sentry damage. That's it. I was just testing these out, see how they're doing, and they held up pretty well. They were in my rank 8 clear just a minute ago, so it worked out pretty decently. I'm 4% off cooldown reduction cap, which I was just testing with, and it worked out okay, but I wouldn't recommend it. And then gloves, dexterity, attack speed, crit chance, crit damage. This rolled low on everything, unfortunately, in terms of crit chance and crit damage. But yeah, they worked out okay. Chest, pretty basic. Dexterity, vitality, sentry damage. If you're having survival issues, sentry damage for all resist. Legs, full defensive stat. Dexterity, vitality, armor. Boots, dexterity, vitality, all resist, cluster arrow damage. Yeah, I take out the movement speed. You lose a bit of DPS for the all resist, I suppose, but the trade-off's pretty good, I'd say. And then I think that's about it. Gem-wise, actually, yeah, we'll finish off the gear talking about that. If there's anything else to swap in terms of your neck, if you don't have a Hellfire, anything with high crit chance, crit damage, and dexterity with a socket will trade in perfectly. I know it's not easy to get a good Hellfire Amulet. It takes quite a few attempts. Like I did 40 and I ended up with these two, which are both pretty good. I'd still like an ancient one so I could upgrade it with the augmentation or whatever, but what are you going to do? But yeah, guys, that's it for the items itself. We'll go on to gems, Can Ice Cube, and Paragon Points now. Okay, so this one's a pretty hot topic in terms of different playstyle and things like that. The legendary gems you want to use, Zay's Stone of Vengeance, I'd say is irreplaceable. 7% extra damage per 10 yards, maximum 30% damage for 50 yards. And the stun. The damage is ridiculous. It's a straight 38% damage increase when you're far away from enemies, which is ridiculous. Rift bosses, it's great because you're always 50 yards away, things like that, or most of the time. But the stun, I mean, it's invaluable. It interrupts casts. It could potentially kill you. It just stops monsters, keeps them in your slows for longer, things like that. Overall, just solid. You can't really go wrong. And then Bane of a Trapped. I mean, this gem is just ridiculous. 38% damage increase. Obviously, depending on the rank of the gem. And then gives you an aura with your slow. But, you have with your sentries 100% uptime with your slow as well, which is just incredible. Now, this is the one that's up for debate. And it's really just dependent on your playstyle. Taeguk, I love this gem. I think it's awesome. Armor, you can't go wrong with. And the damage. The damage is just insane. There's no real... It's just, yeah. It's insane. The damage is crazy. You can't go wrong. But the only downside is if you die, or if you drop your stacks, the gem is worthless for a certain amount of time. And then you also have to build it up to get to that point. So it's hard to learn, but when you get it, it's not hard to learn. It's easy to keep it up, but it's like keeping it up in the hecticness of Diablo 3 sometimes. You can lose your shit. The only tip I have for that, which I'll go over in my Greater Rift run, is your sentry refreshes it. Your sentry builds a stack. And it's a slightly quicker cast animation than your actual cluster arrow itself. So if you're on a run and you want to keep it up, just sentry. I'm gonna move because they're gonna bug me. But yeah, that's probably the most crucial part about it. Sentries keep it up. So if you're in the fray of battle, just sentry. Instead of attacking, it'll make it so you're not going to, die as quickly, standing still as long. Now, the other alternatives, which I would recommend for beginners with the sets or people who are having problems surviving in general, you don't want more things to think about. So Bane of the Powerful is sick. I mean, it is very, very good. 20% damage after you kill an elite pack for X amount of time, and 15% elite damage. Can't really go wrong. Overall, juicy as hell. If you kill an elite pack and fight another elite pack, you have essentially 35% increased damage for that elite pack itself. And then Bane of Stricken, which is good because, I mean, we don't kill Rift bosses that quick with this build. It's not the slowest, but it's not in any means fast, We're not throwing impales at it for like 200 billion, 300 billion. So this is actually quite nice. Not only does it increase your damage periodically as you go, as you keep attacking things, but it increases your damage by 25% against Rift bosses. So you can't really go wrong. So if you're beginning or having problems surviving, or just generally... It's just too much to keep up with, because Demon Hunters are quite annoying to play right now, survivability-wise and stuff. You need to be on the ball. Swap out your Taeguk for Bane of Powerful or Bane of Stricken. But yeah, we'll go over that in my Greater Rift Clear commentary video, which is coming out in a few days. Let's move on to Canonized Cube. Okay, Cube passives, very, very straightforward. There's not many options. Dawn, this allows you to have 100% uptime in your Vengeance with your cooldown reduction stacked. Visage of Goons. Goons? Goonays. Whatever. This gives your Vengeance Dark Runes, so that's 50% damage increase all of the time. Which is, I mean, look, if you pop that, it doubles, and if you cast that, it goes up even more. So your toughness goes up by quite a bit while playing a Demon Hunter right now. And then Convention of Elements, rotating 200% damage. When learned correctly, your burst damage is insane. When you have 5 sentries up, and you have your companion up, and you have your focus hammer strain up, your damage goes ballistic, and you like kill elite packs. You just melt them, essentially. The only real change in this build that I would recommend is the Cloak of Garwolf. If you're doing either, I don't know, I find this, because you got to remember, with this, it summons 3 wolves instead of 2, so you get the extra 19% damage or 18% damage increase from those extra 2 wolves being out. Sorry, damage decrease, survivability decrease. So that's actually pretty good, and it gives you a slight damage increase as well, because your set's boosting your companion's damage, and you give 2 extra wolves to tank for you. So it's actually pretty good, and I don't see many people using it. But a few days ago, I saw the guy on the top of the leaderboard, and he actually had that equipped for the kill. And I tried it. It's pretty good. I prefer the overall damage decrease, or, survivability increase from Visage of Goons, because it is actually better. But try it out. Test it. It's fun. Extra wolves is cool. And yeah, it's pretty cool. And then if you're doing normal Rift runs, swap out that for Nemesis Bracers, because on T10, you don't really need the survivability. Other than that, no real variation there, guys. It's pretty cookie cutter, unfortunately. But definitely test out Cloak of Garwolf, because I don't think too many people are trying it right now, and it is actually quite interesting to see, especially with Zoe's Secret combined with it. What do we have left? Paragon points. We'll go into those next. And finally, Paragon points. Max movement speed, full dexterity. Hatred, I haven't really touched that, but maybe you could if you want, but I don't think you need to. So dexterity and movement speed, pretty simple. This is all dependent on the order. So cooldown reduction cap first, because you need your uptime on your Vengeance 100% of the time. Critical hit chance and critical hit damage. Just test those. Rotate them in and out. Like, if you're only level 400, put in full cooldown reduction, then put in full crit chance, and see what your damage is, and take that out and put in full crit damage, see what your damage is. Because it's all dependent. You want to keep like a 10-to-1 ratio, so 10-to-1. So that's crit damage to crit chance. So every 1 crit chance you have, you want 10 crit damage. That's the general rule of thumb for DPS increase, but just test them out. And then attack speed I'm doing last, because I just don't find it as useful as the other two, and my damage actually goes down when I put it in. Although it's a pretty clunky build, so attack speed is nice. But yeah, cooldown reduction, crit chance, crit damage, attack speed. Resist all, armor, life, in that order. And then life regen. And then resource cost reduction, area damage, probably on par. I haven't done any theory crafting, but yeah, probably area damage, maybe, I would have thought, first. And then resource cost reduction and life on hit. And that shouldn't even be a thing, gold find in there. They got to replace that. But yeah, pretty simple for Paragon points. We'll go into the follower really quick. Thunder Fury on him is nice because it gives it an extra slow. So if they're not in your sentries, he's slowing them. S of Johan is sick. You have to get this if you don't. It pulls everything in once in a while and slows it all as well. So if you're in a situation where your sentry's not up on cooldown or whatever, it pulls everything in and slows it into one big clump, and then you just like cluster arrow the shite out of it. It's really nice. And then freeze deflection, blocking an attack has a chance to freeze the attacker. And then obviously his immortal rune, Unity. And I haven't really sorted out his rings yet because I don't think they're too important. Ideally, I want to like get this guy full ancient with like red gems in and stuff, but meh. When you have bosses with trillions of health, this guy's like a wet noodle essentially. I go for the taunt over the heal. Taunt is really nice, especially with all your pets. Life per second is really nice as well. You don't really need the slow as well because you already have so many slows. And then I guess stunning all enemies is decent, even though the DR is pretty crap. It doesn't always stun like elite packs for 3 seconds at all. And then the resource cost as well is very nice. I did mess around with the other followers, but I found the taunt is really nice with this build combined with all of your pets, where the other followers just meh. They're not too great. But yeah, guys, we'll check out some gameplay now and see what's going on with that. Okay, guys, so that wraps it up for today's guide. If you have any questions or general feedback, leave them in the comment section below. I do appreciate it all. I do read it all, and I do try to reply to it all. I've said it before, but you'll be seeing a lot more of me. I've been working full time and stuff, and it's hard for me to get enough gameplay in to make good videos. You know, like it's tough trying to do both at once and rotate like a personal life and stuff. But I am trying my best. I've designated like, a lot of time in December into actually getting back to my roots in the game, playing it, improving, and just generally trying to get to the point where I can make quality content again. I felt like I let it slip there for a while at the beginning of Reaper of Souls, and it was kind of annoying. I was very annoyed at myself, and I didn't want to keep producing crap content. So I hope this guide is being useful. I hope it's been, I know it's been accurate in terms of, what you want to go for and what's good and things like that. There's a lot more coming out. I'm going to put out my Greater Rift. I don't even remember. It's 6. I hit rank. Okay, I'm still 8. Okay, rank Greater Rift 76 run. That'll be out probably tomorrow with commentary, if not Monday. And then I'll be having a 77, 78 clear next week, guaranteed, pretty much. I mean, 77 I can guaranteed clear right now. I dominated 76, so. But yeah, guys, that's about it. I won't ramble on any longer. Follow and subscribe, all that jazz. If you like the video, if you're a new watcher, and let's look out for more content. All right, guys, thanks a lot, and we'll see you all probably Monday. Bye-bye.